dig deeper. There's power down beneath that ground. Work harder. There ain't nothing lost that can't be found. Get stronger.
So I'm going to do a real basic capture of this water line repair that I'm going to do, or try to do. We've had some water loss from our main line somewhere. About the meter reads 3/4 of a gallon a minute, so that's kind of painful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a spot repair. Hopefully it's a spot repair, and I'm going to record this in case it helps somebody else do similar work in the future. What I did was I ran a straight line from my water meter to the house. I just used an old extension cord, and so that's my water line. And then that way when I was poking around in the ground, I wasn't going to puncture my water line. And then what I did was I took an old arrow. Actually, it's pretty strong, but you can use some sort of a pole or metal dowel or something like that. And I just hammered it into the ground, 1 foot at a time, all the way down this water line until I actually found a little bit of moisture on it. And with a little bit of trial and error going from one side to the other, I realized my border of moisture is about there. So I marked it off, and I'm about to start digging, and we'll see what we find when we get down there. Now at some point in this you got to turn this main water off, of course, which is that valve right there. For my purposes, I'm actually going to start digging. I don't want my wife and my house to be without water for too long, and I've got a bit of digging to do, but I will come back and turn that water off. Another caveat, of course, is anytime you're going to dig deep into your yard, you should really know where the utility lines and other things are. I've actually had these things marked off in the past for some work, so I'm guessing I'm pretty safe here. But I'm going to dig tenderly just in case you ever do run into something. You certainly don't want to damage it. You never know what you're going to find under here. A quarter. I'm already ahead of the game. Alright, well, after a bunch of digging, looks like there's my proof right there that I am in fact in the right spot. Or darn close to it. Alright, so now that I know I'm in the right spot, I'm going to turn this. I just turned my water off at the meter here. And that way no more water is going to be leaking in as I'm trying to clean this hole up and get to the pipe. Just so you know, I've been at this for about, I'd say, probably 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours of digging, and I'm not quite there yet. Turned off the water. It's really dried up a lot in there since I turned it off, so man, that thing is deep, and it is in some clay down there. So I've been digging for a long time, and I can't figure out why I haven't hit the pipe. Then I turned the water back on, and it was seeping down this wall here and into where I've been. So I'm either they were not in a straight line, or I misjudged, or a combination. So the good news is I can now access this from the sidewall, hopefully open it a little bit, and it will actually give me a much easier place to work in. So maybe it was all meant to be. Found it. So there it is. So I came down from the side, and I would have had to have dug this deep anyway. So as luck would have it, this is actually going to make it a whole lot easier to work on anyway, because I can stand out of the way and do the repair. So kind of pleased about that. Here we go. Pinhole. So what I'm going to do, because it's a pinhole leak somewhere around here, there's these compression coupler things, and one way to fix a leak, I know, is to cut this here, have basically a new section, and use this on one end and this on the other. But rather than introduce a new piece of pipe and have two different connections, I'm going to try to saw with a hacksaw right exactly where the pinhole is, and then that'll take a tiny bit off of the length on each of halves of these, and hopefully it'll be enough space that I can pull and push these and get the coupler on, and maybe just do it with one contact point. So That's what I'm going to try anyway. If that doesn't work, then I'll just do a section. Okay, so I just got done with my handy dandy hacksaw, and I just sliced that pipe right there, which is where the leak was. And then I'm going to basically see if I can pull these a little bit askew so that I can slide this on there. I can't really film this while I'm doing it, so unless I jerry rig my phone up right there between my knees, that's what I'm gonna do. But I don't want to fool around just to get it on camera. God forbid I break the pipe, so I will show it to you once I get it on. Perfect. So I bent these and I slid my compression fitting onto one side. And before I did that, I lined it up and I made a mark on each side so that I know exactly where I want that compression fitting to sit. And then I need to line it up like that, and then I'm going to tighten each side. So first I'm going to tighten it with my hands a little bit to get it going. Incidentally, I had sprayed a little bit of WD-40 on those threads before I began. So I have that in the middle, and then I basically just, a little at a time, close these up like that, like this. So I tighten that real tight, basically until there's no more gap on either side here. I've heard that you can, from a plumber, that you can not really over tighten this, but of course I'm always worried to over tighten stuff, so I turned it until I could almost not turn it anymore, and that's real snug. So the water has been off, of course, so I'll turn it back on and see what happens. Alright, well, my water has been turned back on for a while now, like 10 minutes probably. It is holding. There is a tiny bit of moisture that's coming off of this seam right here that I'm not totally happy with. But it's much better than it was, of course, and it'll get us through the night. I'm a little tired. I'll look at it tomorrow. Okay, well, I actually took that off, stopped the water, and took it off again just to double check. I had actually not really sanded down and smoothed the ends of my copper pipe before I put that fitting on. So I just did that, and I put it back on, and I made sure my pipe was really perfectly straight when I reconnected it again. I made sure that the opening was right in the middle, and then I clamped these down, and that seems to be now dry, and it's been holding for a while. And I run my finger along the edges here, and there's just no moisture at all anywhere. So that's a good sign. I think it's good. So that's all done. The pipe has been fixed, and I saved myself probably $1,000. I hope this comes in handy for you, and if you're going to take on something like this, certainly make sure you do your research. And I am not a professional, so I'm just sharing with you my experience. I'm going to leave this hole open a little bit for probably a couple days and just make sure everything is dry. And then I'll fill it in. I'll make sure to support underneath that pipe really, really well before I start filling in the dirt. And I hope it lasts for a long time.
Dig deeper. There's power down beneath that ground. Work harder. There ain't nothing lost that can't be found. Get stronger. Time to turn this thing around. Man up, hunker down, dig deeper.